It's too late to share with you an experience of mine last Sunday morning, but I will on Friday. I asked for it. I woke at 1:30 and thinking of many things concerning my dear wife. I asked for some wonderful experience now, and then fell asleep. And it came in the most glorious manner as I was waking at 6:15. Ran straight to my yellow pad and wrote the whole thing down. It was the most vivid experience in answer, because I wove myself into an experience. It had to take place. What experience it would, I left it to the depth of my own being to decide that. But give me some wonderful experience this night in answer to something. And then came the most glorious experience. And then I wrote the whole thing down. But it's too long to tell it tonight. I'll tell you on Friday if you're here. But whether you're here or not, I'll tell it on Friday. Now let us go into the silence. Good. Now, are there any questions, please?
What's the difference when you went into the reality factor with the body on the bed and what they call astral projection?
What's the difference?
Is there a difference?
Well, I have had out-of-the-body experiences, what the world would call astral projections, but they're not anything like this. I am convinced that the being that you really are is dreaming what you believe yourself to be. One day you will awake, and you and the dreamer of you will be one. I have seen myself out of this body many times, but it's not that of which I speak today. Any other questions, please? Yes.
If you have time, I would like to hear again the story you told about a dream or a dream you had where you were trying to get through a wall and you tried to force to get through and you couldn't get through.
Well, that was really an astral projection. I was living in my hotel room in New York City, and I felt this peculiar force in my head. And I moved out in a circular motion, or rather spiral motion, and I found myself on the beach. I didn't know anyone, but I knew I had just left a body on the bed in New York City. I was more curious about how that thing happened than about the people on the beach. That meant nothing to me. So I inwardly wished to return and duplicate it, but this time not to go to the beach, but to actually come down in the room and observe the body out of which I had just come. So I had no sooner wished it than I came back to the body. And I'm in the body, and I know I'm in the body. But now the same motion is taking place, the same intensity. But this time, as I whirled out in the spiral motion, I will myself to come back into that room, not go elsewhere. I want to see exactly how this thing works. So I came into the hotel room, and there's my body on the bed. The face is covered with a cloud. There are breaks in the cloud, and through the breaks in the cloud I can see my face, but only through breaks in the cloud. And here I'm looking at this thing, and I call it a thing because the reality is looking at it. That which I always believed to be my reality, myself, that I shaved in the morning, and I bathed in the morning, and I fed all through the day, that's only an envelope. I am the being looking at it. But I figured, now, if I am now out, I'm spirit. Therefore, I could easily go through that wall. And so, I ran towards the wall and ran at it and bumped my head. Came back, and I figured to myself, that's crazy. I am spirit. There is the thing that should bump its head, not me. I ran again and I bumped my head again. I came back, and this time I said, now, there must be some way that it can be done because I am spirit. I imagined myself out of that room, and instantly I was where I imagined myself. The mere fact I saw the wall as a barrier, it was a barrier to me. And so trying to go through it, I was going against my own rational mind. And so I bumped it. But when I stood in the room, not going through any wall or any door, I simply imagined myself elsewhere, and I was elsewhere. So that's how I learned that lesson, with a good bump. Now that was an involuntary projection. I have had many voluntary ones. But I'm not talking of that. That's behind me now. That's like child's play. I'm speaking of God in us, who is called in Scripture Jesus Christ. For the divine body of God is your own wonderful human imagination, which is one with God, who is Jesus Christ. That's the Lord. And may I tell you, in the end, although all these bumps and these horrors of the world, in the end he is infinite love. He appears at first as power, destructive violence, but in the end it was love behind it all. Just sheer love. Nothing but love in the end, and that's God. Well, until the next time. We have a few left. We're closing in June. And here we are now, the 10th of May. And this time when I close, I have no plans for reopening. I'm not committing myself to this club or any other place. And so I will be here until the last Friday in June. Thank you. Good night.